What's good, team? It is MurderInc here, back again on the test server talking about, in my opinion, and I've been doing this for a long time, the coolest clan boss team I've ever made. Now, it was so much fun. Counterattack's been a thing for a while. I like to go away from that. We've seen it, we've done it. We are using pure damage dealers with the fusion Helicath here. He is fully booked, so you would have to fully invest in it. But I've been noticing something. I'm seeing these videos come out where it only works for Void Affinity. They're trying to flex these like epic champions and all of these other things. That's cool and all, but you gotta make it realistic if you're gonna make a video, unless it's just for fun. If you really want people to replicate what you're doing here, it has to make sense for the average player. So what do we have here today? We have Helicath, we have 4 champions. This works for every single affinity. It doesn't matter if it's void, red, blue, green, you're going to be fine. Full auto setup from the start here. Like I said, Helicath does in fact have to be booked completely for this to work. Well, completely meaning the A3 and the A2. The A1, it doesn't really matter. But with that being said, I want to showcase what I have for you today here. So let's get right into it. So as we can see here, the 5 champions I'm using are champions I've wanted to use for such a long time together. We have Jintoro. I've wanted to see him pop off. I've never had a chance to try this, so I said, you know what? Let's just make it happen for this video. We also have Dracomorph here. I did something pretty cool with his preset here. I have Vizier Ovelis, who I've rarely used under Priest Brogni. The king, the goat, we know under Priest Brogni. And finally, the fusion being Helicath here. Now there's so many cool things that are going to come down to this team. So let me just show you the stats I used. Yes, these are all legendary champions. Yes, I'm have them in crazy gear, but don't just see this if you're free to play. Mid-spender, don't have some of these champions and say, okay, this team isn't for me. There are so many swaps, and like pretty much every clan boss video I have, I'm going to give you options that you can use to swap out some of the champions you might not have. Really quickly, just giving you like a teaser before I get into it in detail, you only need Helicath and a champion to replace under Priest Brogni that has a 3-turn block debuff cooldown. That's it. That's the simple requirement. I'll give you all the champions you can possibly use for that. So first thing to notice, look at the speeds. We have Jintoro here, 6,300 attack, he's popping off, 112% crit rate. What was I thinking? Listen, I did this quickly, I wanted to get it done because I was so excited to make it happen. But 172 speed, so low, you love to see it. Next we have Dracomorph here. Pay attention to what I did here. Since I wanted to use Vizier Ovelis, I'm sure I could have gotten more damage using someone else, but I said, let's use Draco's A3 once, then have him never use it again, making sure he's always pumping damage onto the boss. If I really wanted to min-max, I could have manualed a few times and done the same with the A3, since we all know the A1 hits extremely hard, but 178 speed. How does it get any better than that? Next, we have, of course, Vizier Ovelis, 173 speed. We have him using his A1 first. We turn the A2 off because the multiplier isn't that good. The multiplier of the A3, though, is very high here. And after his speed, stats, all of that good stuff, crit rate, crit damage, attack, he doesn't hit too hard. Most of his value is in Giant Slayer. But moving on to Helicath here, we have Devoted Servants. Make that priority 1. GG game set match. This is the fastest champion on the team at 245 speed, which should be a breath of fresh air for so many players, especially when we saw Demitha. You needed crazy speeds across her most early game accounts. And I know you're probably looking at the 5 legendaries saying, what do you mean early game account? How could I ever do this? I already mentioned that. You can swap these out for rares, epics, whatever you guys want. So this is the speed you'd have to hit on one champion. The rest of them can be insanely low, even under Priest Brogni, 171 speed. Prioritize his A3 as first priority. And again, this is game, set, match for how this works. Now let's take a look at the run, see what happens, then we will go over the champion swaps that you can use for this team comp, and then I'll do the masteries, look at the gear, all of that good stuff. Okay, so now we're going to start off the run here. How does this work? Well, I'm sure probably you figured this out because no one, for the most part, watching is going to be a complete novice as far as clan boss goes. So we have the block damage buff covering you for 2 AoEs every single time, even with these low speeds, which is nice. And then How do we survive the stun? This is where you talk about layered survivability. The stun is based on the HP of the champion, does a certain percentage. Once you start adding a shield to the mix here, things just start going crazy. So we have Underpriest Brogni, applying block debuffs, making sure you never get hit with Affinity, and you never get stunned by the stun. And on top of that, right before the stun happens in every single rotation, and Underpriest Brogni is going to be growing that shield high enough to where you never have to worry about any of those champions dying, regardless of who's picked. For example, Jin Toro is the stun target throughout the entire match here, and I know that if you change Affinity, this can change, it can swap to another champion. Why I'm happy it's on Jin Toro is you will see with the stats, he has no health, no defense, nothing, yet he's still surviving that A1 stun slam from the clan boss. Why is this the case? Especially without running attack down here. Attack down does not affect that because it's based on the HP of the champion that's getting hit, which, like I said, is Jin Toro here. So all you have to do is layer your defense, have some type of shield. The shield from Helicath will also be able to kind of keep itself over up until this round, and it will make it so much easier for so many teams to get this done. So what are the drawbacks of using a team like this? It's possible you already have a better team. So why make a new team when you want a better team? That's a valid conclusion. But if you're a whale, let me tell you right now, it is so fun to watch a group of Helicath plus someone like a Brogni or whoever else you want to pick, and then have 3 straight up damage dealers. Now, if I wanted to add a counterattack, I could do that. Some players are still struggling to get counterattacks, so I wanted to kind of appeal to more people just using 3 damage dealers. And also, it was more fun, like I said, I picked champions that I haven't used, and what's more fun than using a champion that you might have built in the past for something, it didn't turn out, or you got an upgrade recently, and you said, how am I going to use this guy? It was a Vault Guardian, he's level 60, fully maxed out, what do I do now? This is where a team like this comes in. You can say, I can throw him in here, maybe I can free up some more of my clan boss champions, use them in other areas of this game, and you're already being more efficient, you're saving silver in so many other things. So that's why I really like this team here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this kind of run in the background, and I'm going to go over some of the key things you need to know about this team. Alright, so let's talk about the stats, the gear sets, all this good stuff. First, let's start with Vizier of Elis. He is using 4 pieces of cruel gear, 2 pieces of crit damage gear set. Total stats we kind of went over a little bit earlier, 5700, 173. The speed's all that really matters, and making sure your accuracy is at a solid level. We're using the typical offense defense tree, him using Giant Slayer, of course, because he does have a triple hit A1, so you're going to get most value out of that, specifically since the A2 is going to be disabled, making it so he's only hitting 3 times or 1 time. Next champion we have is going to be Underpriest Brogni. Now you might be thinking, Murder, why are you using Brogni? Don't you know that block damage doesn't make it so his passive procs? Absolutely, I know that, but he just fit really well in this role. He had that grow shield thing. I thought I was going to need it a lot more than I actually do, so I could have swapped him out for one of many other champions, which we will get to in just a moment. He is also wearing 6 pieces of cruel gear. We're stacking attack, crit rate, crit damage. We're here to pump damage. That's why the shield grow effect is going to be so massive going on. And of course, 171 speed, you can't beat it. As far as his mastery is, once again, typical clan boss, we have the offense tree and the defense tree. Next, we have Jin Toro, someone that I've been looking forward to using for such a long time. We have 4 pieces of cruel gear, 2 pieces of crit damage gear. Looking at total stats really quickly, 6.3 thousand attack, 112 crit rate, we already went over that, 286 crit damage, and 172 speed. His masteries, same plan. We have that War Master defense tree duo going on here. Moving on once again to Dragomorph, the MVP, the OG for clan boss. High damage no matter how you look at it across the board here. We have 6 pieces of cruel gear. We're stacking attack, we're stacking crit damage, 5.6 thousand attack, 178 speed, 277 crit damage here. Moving on to masteries, once again, we have War Master in the defense tree. And finally, we have the highlight champion Helicath here, which makes it very easy because I don't need some niche set. I don't have to worry about building damage for this guy. If I really wanted to min-max, sure, I could put him in, I guess, a defense set or a crit damage set to really bump up how much output he has here. And Listen, don't judge me too much. We have 6 pieces of speed gear. Looking at his total stats, he has 97% crit rate. Now listen, I know I'm a strong advocate in always having 100% crit rate, but I've said this a few times. I know it's skipped a few people's minds. You don't necessarily need 100% crit. This isn't me coping. Okay, it's me coping just a little bit, but you don't need 100% crit rate because throughout a long battle, 97 and 100 is rather close. Having that 3% chance over 50 turns doesn't really matter as much. So with that being said, we have 5800 defense, 229% crit damage. We have no defense up buff on this champion, which can be another synergy you can add if you have a different champion in here, making Helicath's damage a lot higher here. As far as masteries go, we have the War Master as well as the defense tree once again. So those are the stats for these champions. Now let's talk about the final damage screen for this battle. Let's just think about this for a second. In 8 minutes and 31 seconds of full auto gameplay, we hit 80.89 million damage. No counter attack, no ally attack. This works for every single affinity flawlessly, no matter what. Nothing can affect this at all, which is what makes it so brilliant. So looking at the breakdown, we have Jintoro doing 18 million damage, Dracomorph being an absolute king. I don't think people realize this, but if you can disable his A3 usage, being that defense down and weaken, with someone like Vizier of Elis, he does a stupid amount of damage. And now I know we all know that he does a stupid amount of damage as is, but once you get rid of an attack that does 0 damage and focus it strictly on that A1 and A2, this guy is going to pop off. So 32.7 million damage, 10.8 from Vizier of Elis, 11 million from Helicath here, without increased defense, which is really important to note here. And then under Priest Brogni doing 8 million damage overall. He's only getting that passive chance to proc War Master from the single hit on the stun. So this is the team, had so much fun here. If I really wanted to push for 100 million damage and all of that good stuff, I probably would have added like ally attack with Longbeard or a counter attack champion, but we've all done that a million times. It's kind of boring to see, let's be honest here. But now let's talk about what the average player can do to replicate this with whoever they want. So first things first, let's talk about the Jintoro slot here. Jintoro, anybody. How many times can you hear that in a clan boss team that works on any affinity and has the potential to 1-key? Literally anybody. Put anybody in Jintoro's slot. Of course, you want to make him worthwhile and make sure it's a developed champion, but there's no requirement for that spot at all. He's just there to do damage. That's it. So whatever high damage dealer you have, use him. Dracomorph, defense down, weaken, or you can even split the roles up. You can have Jintoro slot as the weaken champion, Dracomorph slot as the defense down champion, Vizier of Elis as the poison slot champion. Now, this comes to the only 2 required roles of this, which is going to be a fully booked Helicath with the preset that I already talked about in the beginning, and then we have Under Priest Brogni. Now, if you missed Under Priest Brogni, I know a ton of people did, or maybe you're just using him somewhere else. You don't want to sacrifice him just for Ultra Nightmare Demon Lord, because listen, this is old content. I may get excited about it because I do enjoy the clan boss to a certain extent, but not everyone feels the same way. They just want to get their shards and get the heck out of here. So if you're looking to easily 2-key, 1-key this any affinity, the options are endless. You can use someone like Rio Bone Spear. I get it, she's a void legendary, but she will work perfectly in this role. Instead of Under Priest Brogni, you can use Satara Rhymehide, who is most recently a fusion as well. If you did go for that champion and you were disappointed, I know I personally didn't recommend fusing it, but if you did, if you followed someone else and fused it and you're like, where do I use it now? It's not as good as I thought it would be. Listen, now's Satara Rhymehide's chance to shine here. Perfect and awesome synergy with someone like a Helicath for sure. You can also use Cardiel. I know, once again, Void Legendary, kind of hard to get. When I say kinda, I mean very RNG, crazy lucky, but he would work pretty well because he also does have an ally attack, so that's even more damage from a champion that's only really there for that block debuff, lasting 2 turns. So TLDR, you need a champion that can replace Under Priest Brogni that has block debuffs for 2 turns, making sure you're covered for the affinity, AoE, as well as that stun. Now, if you wanted to use a champion with a 4-turn cooldown, these speeds will not work. You will have to kind of adjust the team probably in Deadwood Jedi's calculator that we're all very familiar with by now. Swap around some of the speeds, they will go up a bit. It's not going to be as easy as 171 and 240 speed, but it's going to be doable if you want to play around with that, or if someone else makes a team using a 4-turn cooldown block debuff to last, making sure you're clear from the affinity and the stun at the same exact time. So as we can see here, you have 2 champions that you need. One of them you would get in a fusion, granted you book them if you are going for this fusion. The second one, you'd have to look into your roster and say who's going to fit the best here. And then you have 3 free flex spots and a quick Ultra Nightmare key. One key thing that I briefly mentioned but didn't really talk about is 8 minutes and 31 seconds to do 80 million damage. That's almost 10 million damage a minute. Think about that, 10 million damage a minute. Now if you had counterattack, you can do more damage, but is there really a point to do more than 71 million damage? We're here to get our 1 key in, get the heck out of there. Now, if you enjoy Clan Boss, you're going for 300 million damage. Is this the team for you? I don't know. Maybe someone will figure something out. They'll add ally attacks, counter attacks, extending buffs. You never know. The potential and opportunities are limitless for a team like this. But my personal point of view here, I'm here to do a key, make it as fast as possible. This is way faster than Bat Eater. Just think about it. Hitting 70 million damage in just over 7 minutes. I mean, it's not quite as fast as the Infinity team that was made a while ago that I do have a video on, but this is pretty darn close to being an extremely fast and efficient team. Now, if you don't have the gear close to mine, I get it. Most people probably won't have that gear if they are looking at this and they're more mid-game, late game. This is still a free, and I can't stress this enough, this is a free 2 key, and you don't have to invest practically anything into the champions. They need masteries, they need to be able to deal some damage, they need to be able to put up some poison debuffs here, and you have a pretty much no effort, low gear requirement 2 key Ultra Nightmare team. And think about it, you get 4 keys a day if you are playing consistently throughout the day. If you're not, I do understand that. I think 3 keys is a lot more realistic based on people's play times, so you can even tone this down to a 3 key, hit it twice on the Ultra Nightmare difficulty, hit it once on the Nightmare difficulty, and listen, game, set, match, you're done for the day, and it took you basically no time at all. Probably 30 minutes total to get all 3 keys done, and you didn't have to be there. You just let it run and you're just chilling. So this is my team here. Hopefully you guys like it. I want to know what champions you guys plan on using instead of the power 3 that I'm using, Jintoro, Dracomorph, and Vizier, that you can swap with anybody. Do you have Brogni? Do you have Tatura Rhymehide? Are you going to be using the Helicath combo with those 2 champions, or are you just going to wait and use this fusion somewhere else? I wanted to make this video because I saw that the option of having a very fast, affinity friendly, low speed requirement team seemed to be non-existent at this point. I'm sure many will come out down the line, but I thought it was important to share this team with you guys specifically because I had so much fun making this. I love watching Jintoro's, I guess, Oni's Rage proc 6 times in a row, doing I think what 1.4, 1.5 million damage when it does proc. It's just a lot of fun to see. So if you're a whale, you're bored, have at it. See how high the damage you can get. Like I said, if you add counterattack or ally attack, you will get more damage out of it. But if you want to just see how much you can get without using any of those 2 factors in, go for it. I'm really curious to see how high numbers you guys can get in your quest and making Helicath worthwhile in the Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. So that's going to conclude this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you like this content, smash that like button, subscribe, turn the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next upload.